Dear students, welcome to Tungala online classes. Today I am going to start with the next part of the chapter. It's very interesting one. So that is nothing but after fertilization, very important event that takes place just to develop the embryo. That is nothing but cleavage. What do you mean by cleavage? Where does this cleavage process that take place? And so how does it take place? With minimum knowledge we are going to deal with this one, the thorough knowledge, so which is studied in the egg cell of the frogs. So it is cleavage is thoroughly studied in frogs egg. So and that is not given in NCERT, but still I would like to give one scenario about the cleavage here in this session, right? Let us start with the cleavage now. Cleavage. What do you mean by cleavage? The question arises. Cleavage is nothing but after the fertilization the zygote is formed, and this zygote undergo continuous rapid mitotic division, and that is called as what? Cleavage. Okay, so what is cleavage? Cleavage is nothing but it is continuous mitotic division takes place of zygote, right? Of zygote is called as cleavage, right? So the zygote undergo continuous mitotic division, that is called as cleavage, right? So let us draw the diagram, and in the diagram only I am going to explain the cleavage, the first cleavage, second cleavage, third cleavage, like this. So many number of cleavages or the mitotic divisions that take place of the zygote. And how does it take place? Let us see in the diagram itself, right? So the half portion of the entire female reproductive system I am going to draw over here, right? Okay, what is this one? I hope you can understand it. Right, here is ovary. This is nothing but okay. So this is ovary, this is uterus. So I hope you can understand this one when we draw like this. Okay, so this portion you can understand. Here comes, this is isthmus, and this is ampulla. At the junction between these two, there the secondary oocyte is present over here, and this secondary oocyte is attacked by, means it is surrounded by plenty number of sperms. Yesterday we had gone through this process, fertilization process, and monospermy means only one sperm can fertilize this egg cell. After fertilization, what happens? This continues its journey towards the uterus after the fertilization, right? So fertilization has taken place over here, and after the fertilization it comes over here, and this has the nucleus, and this is called as what? Zygote. And this zygote undergo mitotic division. So near about after 30 hours of the fertilization, the first cleavage occurs, right? And see here, as you know, this is the zygote. Zygote itself, imagine yourself, this is zona pellucida. Zona pellucida. So is present over here. And this cell undergo division, that is the first cleavage, first mitotic division, so as to form two-celled stage. See here, the method of the cell division or the type of the cell division is vertical cell division. Vertically the cell divides into two cells and each cell is called as blastomere. What it is called as? Each cell is called as blastomere. Blastomere is formed over here, right? So into two blastomeres, the first cleavage is vertical one, right? So this is how two-celled stage that occurs over here. First one, after 30 hours it takes place, near about 30 hours. And in the next one, in the next stage, after the 40 hours of the fertilization, near about 40 hours after the fertilization, the cell divides into four cells. This is one cleavage, this is another cleavage which is also vertical in nature. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 cells are formed over here. 4 cells are formed over here. So in your NCERT it is given like this. 4-celled stage it is. Of course, no problem. 4-celled stage is formed, right? And so later in the next one, 8-celled stage occurs over here. All the 8 cells what are formed over here, all the 8 cells are very compactly arranged within the zona pellucida which is present over here, right? So hence this stage of the 8-celled stage itself is said to be as compaction stage. What it is called as stage of compaction, right? Stage of compaction. The first cleavage, second cleavage, third cleavage, it is about how many cells? 8 cells, stage of compaction. Almost, so whenever it reaches 8 to 16 celled stage, it is at the entrance of, it comes to the entrance of what? Entrance of the uterus, right? So almost at the end of the 4th day. So this occurs after the 3 days of fertilization. 8-celled stage occurs over here and it reaches 8 to 16 cells. So 16-celled stage, 8 to 16-celled stage it reaches, right? And it reaches, so what? Almost the uterus, right? This is called as fundus. Already you know fundus. This is called as endometrium. Endometrium, you know it better. Okay, so now it is about to enter into the uterus. Uterine cavity it is, right? It is about to enter, right? So on the end of the 4th day, it reaches the 16-celled stage, right? 8 to 16-celled stage. It enters into almost the what? Uterus. The 16-celled stage, it start to become what? The cells once again they start to divide themselves continuously so as to form 32-celled stage, right? So during the cell division, what happens over here is one point we should concentrate on. Whenever the cell division occurs, their equational division and complete division of the cell that take place. So the complete division of the zygote as well as complete division of the blastomeres, if it is taking place, then that kind of a division itself is called as holoblastic. What it is termed as? Holoblastic. Cleavage. This kind of cleavage itself is called as holoblastic cleavage. There are different types of cleavages that we come across in different, so lower organisms, higher organisms, etc. Right? So, but here holoblastic cleavage is occurring. 8 to 16 third stage itself, or 16 to 32 third stage itself is called as what? It is called as morula. Morula, right? It is the first developmental stage of the embryo, we can say, right? Morula stage it reaches, and after the morula stage it comes to the 32 third stage. So during 32 to 64 third stage, whenever it comes, so that moment there the entry of the fluid as well as the cavity formation and two cell masses are formed over here. So suppose this is the, so inside which there we come across the cells over here, cell masses over here. This is one cell mass which is formed over here, and this cell mass as well as another cell mass is also formed over here. Okay, these are the two cell masses that are formed. The greenish one is called as a trophoblast that surround the inner cell mass. So trophoblast is formed over here, and this red colored one is called as inner cell mass. Inner cell mass, and this is said to be as a precursor of developing embryo. This becomes later the embryo, of course. Let it be, no problem. Trophoblast is formed and inner cell mass is formed over here, right? These two are formed, and there is a large cavity is formed, and this cavity is called as, right, this entire structure itself is called as blastocyst, and this is called as blastocell. Blastocell, the cavity is called as blastocell, and this blastocell is filled with a kind of fluid now, right? It is filled with a fluid, right? And now, so blastocell is formed, inner cell mass is formed, trophoblast is formed, and this structure which is called as blastocyst, what it is called as? It is looking to be as a cyst-like structure, and it is called as blastocyst. Blastocyst. In case of human being, it looks to be as a cyst-like structure, hence it is called as blastocyst. And this blastocyst, which is present inside the zona pellucida, hard zona pellucida, when blastocyst is formed, gradually the zona pellucida becomes thinner, right? It starts to become very thin, and gradually it starts to break itself. When it starts to break, that moment this blastocyst hatches out of this one. It hatches out of this one. Hatching of the blastocyst that takes place from the zona pellucida cavity itself, right? So I shall show the same thing over here itself, right? So it's next stage, I'm going to show it here myself. Okay, so here I'm going to show here. So how it takes place? See here. this zona pellucida becomes very thin, and through this zona pellucida there comes out the trophoblast. See here, this is the trophoblast. Okay, now you can observe how it comes out. This is inner cell mass. So totally it comes out. When it comes out, it looks to be a single celled cellular envelope, as well as there is a mass of the cell inside called as inner cell mass. Okay, so this is called as blastocyst, what is formed, right? And this is called as blastocell, and this is inner cell mass. Okay, and this is called as a trophoblast. I hope you have understood all these events, what happens, right? So the next stage I have to show here myself, right? It will not be very clear over here. That's why I have shown this separately, what happens the next event. Okay, so I hope you have understood how this blastocyst that comes out of the zona pellucida after breaking down of the zona pellucida, of course, right? And this blastocyst on the 7th day, after the 7th day, all these happen during the course of 6 days, and on the 7th day it start to attach to the endometrial wall. It start to attach to the endometrial wall. That process of attachment of the blastocyst to the endometrial wall is called as implantation, right? So this is the fact what we must concentrate over here. So once again I will explain this one. It becomes a 2-celled stage. Blastomeres both are called as 4-celled stage, 8-celled stage, and it is called as compaction stage, and 16-celled stage to 32-celled stage. So what happens over here? Morula it is called as, and after that one the squeezing out of this blastocyst from the zona pellucida that take place, and after that one it becomes independent blastocyst, and it is ready to implant over here, attached to the endometrial wall over here. That process itself is called as implantation. Okay, so the developmental stages, once you glance over here, morula stage is there, after that one blastocyst stage is there, or blastula stage is there. The process of formation of blastula itself is called as blastulation. This point is noted over here, right? The process of formation of blastula is called as blastulation, right? So all these are the things that we must remember over here, and the structure of blastula is usually asked in the examination. Thank you.